affects how the game feels during the gameplay. To start with the music of Payday 2, the soundtrack has so many iconic songs in both stealth and action-packed gameplay. Some examples would include I Will Give My All 2017, Raise a Mind, and Ode to Greed. The common factor between these songs is they are all played in the loud sections of the heist. Some examples of stealthier music include Time Window, Black Yellow Mobius, and The Mark. With Payday 2, the music changes on what approach you decide to take. This is because with louder, more action-packed music, they are much louder with the combat and it's like a quicker paced game. Meanwhile, with stealth music, it is a lot slower paced and helps with the stealth to keep it slow.
In Left 4 Dead 2, the music relates to the individual settings of the chapters. Like in Dark Carnival, the music is carnival music. As well as like the enemies have certain jingles, like the witch has a cry that alerts the players of it being around.
However, with the gameplay in Payday 2, we start to see a real difference. This is because with Payday 2, the gameplay mainly consists of waiting for stuff to happen while fighting off the police response. This can be fun because it means they can focus on stopping the police force from getting to the objective, which can be stopped by either a member of the police force or on its own once in a while.
Left 4 Dead 2's gameplay is based on getting from point A to point B, and this is made more interesting by things like in Dark Carnival there's a concert you have to wait out to win. This type of objective is the time trial. There's a certain set amount of time to set goal. It's not just, I don't know, it's just, I like how structured it is.
The enemies of Payday 2 are categorized into two groups. Group 1 is common enemies. This is the main enemy type and will be most common for the player to fight. They are weaker and are easily scared by the other players. Then we move on to the special enemy. The first one is one of the most iconic of the game, the Cloaker. The Cloaker can instantly down the player. The Cloaker plays a sound when approaching the player that is very recognizable to most players. Then we have the Taser, that electrifies the player with electricity, that also randomly fires your weapon. Then the biggest is the Dozers, that are very powerful and have the biggest DPS, so they have more means to hurt the player. Sniper can be one of the most annoying enemies in the game because they can do the most damage. They can get rid of the player's armor in less than 2 shots. However, they have a very obvious red laser. One of the weakest special enemies, even with their gimmick of having a shield, and makes them more of a common enemy than a special.
In Left 4 Dead 2, the infected are split into 2 categories. You've got the common infected, which are just easy to kill enemies that surround the player, making them feel crowded. And this is like the horde dynamic of the game. And then you have the special enemies, which is like a tank, which is really strong and gigantic and throws rocks, and it's like, if you hear that music, you need to run. The Witch is the same as that, but you're not forced to fight it like you are with the tank. The Charger it has a really cool design. It's like a tank but slightly smaller, and it charges at people and pins them down. It's the Hunter, which pins people, that was also pretty cool. And it's really fun to play in the versus game mode. Also the Boomer, which is really ridiculously easy to kill, but can be a pain because it can just spit goo on you that gets the horde to attack you. Spitter, which is probably the worst one, just because it spits goo on the floor. And then finally you've got the Jockey, which just arrives people's heads and goes like,
Now, weapon selection. This is because with Payday 2, there are over 200 weapons. Primary subcategories are assault rifles, shotguns, akimbo weapons, light machine guns, SMGs, snipers and specials, pistols, shotguns, sniper rifles and specials. Then finally, there are melee weapons that has its own category, as they include a lot of weapons. However, each weapon can be modified to be different from each other.
In Left 4 Dead 2, just like the Infected, the weapons are split into two categories. You've got the melee weapons / like side weapons, which are close quarters, and like the pistols are the secondaries. You get infinite ammo there, like the backup weapons. And then you've got the primary weapons, which is like SMGs, shotguns, snipers, assault rifles, and LMGs.
Characters in Payday 2 come from other IPs. Some examples include John Wick and the game Hotline Miami. This is important because the characters in these IPs have very important roles in the story within the game, as they save main characters. For example, John Wick saves Chains, the main characters like Dallas, who have iconic characteristics like his iconic mask or his iconic line.
I need a medic bag!
Other characters like Jacket from Hotline Miami have the gimmick of voice lines being on a tape recorder.
Please pay attention. You will be happy to know you are victims of a robbery.
Left 4 Dead 2, just like the first one, has really interesting characters. Like in the first one, they pick Lewis, Francis, Bill, and Zoe, and they're all quite different personalities, and hearing them talk to each other can add to how fun the game is. And in Left 4 Dead 2, they did the exact same thing, but slightly different, where they have Coach, who is sort of like the wiser character. You've got Ellis, who's like a sort of hippie, hillbilly trucker type guy, and he's very funny. He's my favourite to play. You have Nick, who's like an uptight businessman. You've got Rochelle, who's just sort of cool, calm, collected. And the dynamic is probably one of the most interesting things to listen to in the game.
Finally, the maps of Payday 2 are numerous and most are very enjoyable to play, as there is a lot of different types of maps. These include maps based on banks, heist houses, and private military bases. These are important with how bright most of the maps are, which is very good for achieving the tone of what the game developers are trying to achieve. A lot of the maps are DLC because most of them were released after the game was released. Some of these include Big Bank, Diamond Store, and Counterfeit. This can be very important to what is valued within the maps, with both options being able to go loud or quiet. However, some can feel the same regardless of how you play them. However, most of them are good regardless.
I feel like the maps in Left 4 Dead 2 are immersive because they're very different and they look different, even though the layouts are all pretty similar, like hold up in this area, or the safe rooms are always all the same in every single one, it's always similar. But they use it really well. Like in Dark Carnival, I think they have like clown zombies and stuff, and that's really cool. In like carnival games, that really helps to immerse you. And in the parish, it's just like a neighbourhood. But I just think, I mean, it works so well. Hard Rain, being like a field that's full of rain and it's really scary and dark, that works really well.
So, why do you like Payday 2 so much?
Because I like the fulfilling the fantasy of robbing a bank and getting lots of money.
Alright, what do you think makes Payday 2 unique from other horde shooters?
Mainly that it's not focused on being a horde shooter. I wouldn't even describe it as that. It's more of, I wouldn't say a strategy game, but more of an objective game, so not a horde shooter. But
What's your favourite aspect of Payday 2?
for me, I'd probably say the humour.
And finally, why is Payday 2 better than Left 4 Dead 2?
I would say because Left 4 Dead takes itself too seriously, where Payday 2 is more to its audience, and I prefer robbing banks to killing zombies any day of the week.
Alright, thank you, that'll be all. So, why do you like Left 4 Dead 2?
I like Left 4 Dead 2 because I have a connection to it, because I've been playing it pretty much ever since I was like old enough to understand what a game was or what a zombie was, which was probably bad parenting on my parents' behalf, but I won't hold to it. But yeah, I used to play it with my sister, my brother, so many good memories playing it, and every time I go back I can just feel the feeling of, you know, how I felt when I was there with the people I was with, you know.
So what do you think makes Left 4 Dead 2 unique?
Out of all the zombie games out there, I think Left 4 Dead 2. I mean, it wasn't the original, but it feels like the original. You know, it's never been done better since then. Sure, you've got things like DayZ now, which are a bit more versatile, a bit more open world, but back to basics. Left 4 Dead 2, you can't fault it. It's straight cut, A to B, easy peasy, fun.
What's your favourite aspect of Left 4 Dead 2?
I like a lot of things about it. I like how the weapons. I'm pretty biased because I was using them pretty much, like I said, all my life. But I think they're perfect. I think the perfect archetypes. They don't complicate things. I think Left 4 Dead's good at that as a whole, of making things easy to understand, not too deep. They don't have attachments and stuff. That keeps it pretty straightforward and easy to just jump in, jump out. The characters are fun to listen to. The maps are uniquely designed with how different they are location-wise and setting-wise.
And why is Left 4 Dead 2 better than Payday 2?
I mean, obviously this is in my opinion, but I think it's better just because I think zombies are much cooler than bank heists, in my opinion, for sure. And I mean, a lot of zombie movies come out, but a lot of heist movies come out, so I don't know. But I prefer just how fun it is, just how fun and simple it is, and how I've been playing it forever. It's just very personal to me, I guess.